Are you letting weakness ruin your potential? Hey, what's up everyone? Today we're diving into something deep, something that's probably sabotaging more of us than we want to admit. It's a topic we all seem to avoid: weakness. Yeah, just saying the word feels uncomfortable, right? But you know what? The truth is, we've all got it. Weakness. It's there, lurking in the background. But here's the kicker: are you letting it ruin your potential? Now, I know that sounds harsh, but stay with me. We live in a world that's constantly telling us to be gentle with ourselves, to take it easy, to avoid discomfort at all costs. And sure, don't get me wrong, self-compassion is crucial. But there's a flip side to that coin. When you avoid discomfort, when you refuse to confront what's difficult, you're also avoiding growth. And honestly, that's one of the most subtle ways we let weakness control us. Think about the last time you faced something hard. Maybe it was a tough decision, maybe it was a challenge that seemed insurmountable. How did you react? Did you push through, or did you shrink back? Here's the thing: we're all wired to avoid pain, to seek comfort, but comfort is a trap. The more you indulge in it, the more it keeps you from reaching your potential. Here's where philosophy kicks in. There's a concept from ancient Stoicism that says, the obstacle is the way. What does that mean? On a surface level, it's pretty simple. The things that are hard, the things that scare you, are exactly the things that will make you grow. But here's the deeper question: why do we run from those obstacles? Why are we so afraid of discomfort? And more importantly, why do we let that fear dictate our lives? I want you to sit with that for a second. How often do you let weakness, fear, or discomfort stop you from doing something that could change your life? How often do you rationalize staying in your comfort zone? The truth is, weakness isn't just about physical strength. It's not about how much you can bench press or how fast you can run. Weakness is mental, it's emotional, it's how you react when things don't go your way. When life gets tough, do you crumble or do you rise? And here's the thing: weakness doesn't just ruin your potential in big, dramatic ways. It sneaks in, slowly, in the form of excuses. I'll do it tomorrow, it's too hard, I'm not ready. Sound familiar?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
But let's be real for a second. What if tomorrow never comes? What if you never feel ready? Because, spoiler alert, you won't. There's never a perfect time. There's only one right now. And every time you let weakness make the decision for you, you lose a little bit of your potential. You miss out on becoming the person you could be. Now, I'm not saying you need to be tough all the time. That's not realistic. But what I am saying is this: you need to recognize when weakness is holding you back. You need to ask yourself, am I making this decision because it's right or because it's easy? Let me hit you with a deep question: how often do you let the easier path dictate your life? And if you keep choosing the easy path, what kind of person will you become 5, 10, 20 years from now? Here's where the practical advice comes in. I want you to start paying attention to those moments when you feel resistance, when something feels hard, uncomfortable, or scary. That moment, that's where the gold is. That's where your potential is waiting to be unlocked. But most of us turn away from it. We let weakness guide us toward comfort, and in doing so, we sacrifice our future. Think about the people you admire the most, the ones who've achieved greatness. Do you think they got there by taking the easy road? No, they embraced the discomfort. They leaned into the hard stuff. And guess what? That's why they're where they are. They didn't let weakness ruin their potential. So, here's what you need to ask yourself: what's harder, facing discomfort now or living with the regret of never reaching your potential. Because that's the trade-off. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you're choosing to stay small. You're choosing to let weakness run your life. But here's the good news, it's not too late. You can start right now. You can decide to stop letting weakness ruin your potential. You can start building the habit of facing discomfort head-on, of pushing through the hard stuff. And every time you do, you get a little stronger. Now, let's get real for a moment. Because this isn't easy. If it were, everyone would be doing it. But here's the thing, you don't need to be perfect at this. You just need to be better than you were yesterday. You just need to take that first step, to face that first challenge, and the rest will follow. So, what's stopping you? What's the weakness that's holding you back right now? Identify it, name it, and then decide, are you going to let it ruin your potential, or are you going to rise above it? The comfort trap, how avoiding struggle destroys your growth, all right. So we've established that weakness, whether it's fear, doubt, or the desire for comfort, is quietly sabotaging your potential. But let's go deeper. Let's talk about comfort. Because honestly, comfort is one of the most dangerous traps out there. It feels good, it's easy, and it's everywhere. But here's the harsh truth, comfort is where potential goes to die. Think about the last time you were really comfortable. Maybe you were sitting on the couch, scrolling through your phone, avoiding that big project, that tough conversation, or that workout you promised yourself you'd do. In that moment, did you feel like you were growing? Did you feel like you were becoming a better version of yourself? Probably not. But it's so easy to stay there, right? To just sink into that comfort and tell yourself, I'll get to it later. But here's the thing, later never comes. The more you choose comfort, the more you condition yourself to avoid discomfort. And the more you avoid discomfort, the more you shrink from challenges. Eventually, you've built a life around avoiding anything that feels hard. And when that happens, you've already lost. Let's pause and reflect for a second. When was the last time you chose comfort over challenge? How many times have you let yourself off the hook because something felt too hard in the moment? The reality is, growth and comfort cannot coexist. Every time you choose comfort, you're choosing stagnation. You're choosing to stay right where you are, safe but unfulfilled. And here's where it gets even more dangerous. Comfort tricks you into thinking you're okay. It lulls you into a false sense of security, making you believe that as long as you're not actively failing, you're doing fine. But here's the truth, not growing is a form of failure. It's just not as obvious. Let's take this to a philosophical level. What is the purpose of life if not to grow, to evolve, to become the best version of yourself? If you're not pushing forward, if you're not challenging the limits of what you're capable of, then what are you doing? You're wasting the precious time you have, and that's a tragedy. Here's a deep question for you. What's more dangerous, failing and learning from it, or never trying and staying exactly where you are? Which of those paths leads to a life full of regret? I want to challenge you right now. How many times in the past week have you taken the easy way out? How many times have you chosen the comfortable option instead of the one that would make you grow? And more importantly, what would your life look like if you always chose the harder path? The one that scares you, that challenges you, that makes you uncomfortable. See, the hard path is where all the growth happens. Every time you embrace discomfort, you're expanding your limits, you're building resilience, you're becoming stronger mentally, emotionally, and even physically. But it's not just about the individual moments, it's about who you're becoming over time. It's about the cumulative effect of those choices. The more you choose challenge over comfort, the more you're shaping yourself into someone who can handle anything life throws at you. So, let me ask you this: what's the cost of staying comfortable? What are you sacrificing every time you take the easy way out? Is it your dream? Your potential? Your future? Comfort might feel good in the moment, but it's robbing you of something far more valuable: your growth. Every time you choose comfort, you're delaying your progress. You're putting off the person you could become. And the longer you stay there, the harder it gets to break free. But here's the thing: you don't have to stay stuck. You can make a different choice. You can decide right now to start embracing discomfort, to start seeking out challenges instead of avoiding them. And when you do, you'll unlock a level of growth that comfort could never give you. So, what's your next move? Are you going to stay in the comfort trap, or are you going to break free and chase your potential? The power of resistance: how struggle shapes your strength. Let's get real. Struggle is inevitable. No matter how much you try to avoid it, life is going to throw challenges your way. But here's the thing: struggle isn't the enemy. In fact, it's the key ingredient in building strength. Think of it like this: resistance is what shapes you. Without resistance, without something to push against, you stay weak. You stay stagnant. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're working out at the gym. If you lift the same light weights every day, you're not going to get stronger. Your muscles need to face heavier resistance to grow. The same principle applies to your mind, your emotions, and your life in general. If you're not facing adversity, if you're not being pushed to your limits, you're not growing. You're staying the same. And staying the same, that's the real weakness. But here's the paradox: we often run from struggle because it's uncomfortable. We feel pain, frustration, and fear when we're faced with a challenge that seems bigger than us. And because of that, many people let resistance stop them. They think, this is too hard, and they give up. But what if instead you embraced the struggle? What if you understood that resistance is actually a sign that you're growing? Let me ask you something: when was the last time you really struggled for something? Not a minor inconvenience, but a real, honest struggle, the kind where you questioned whether you'd even make it through. Now think about that moment. Did you come out of it weaker, or did you come out of it stronger than you ever thought possible? The truth is, struggle is a gift. It's not something to run from, it's something to run toward. Because every time you face resistance head-on, you're leveling up. You're becoming smarter, tougher, more resilient. And here's the best part: the more you struggle, the easier it becomes to handle the next challenge. It's like building muscle. The first time you lift a heavy weight, it feels impossible. But after weeks of consistent struggle, it becomes second nature. But now, let's go deeper. Philosophically, what is the role of struggle in your life? Why do we shy away from it when, in reality, it's the only way to reach our potential? The answer lies in our fear of failure. We've been conditioned to think that struggle equals failure, that if something is hard, it must mean we're not good enough or strong enough. But that's a lie. Struggle doesn't mean you're failing, it means you're growing. It means you're pushing against the limits of who you are right now to become someone greater. Here's a question for you: what would your life look like if you stopped running from resistance and started seeing it as an opportunity? How much stronger could you become if, instead of avoiding struggle, you leaned into it every time? The people who achieve greatness, the ones you admire, the ones who seem unstoppable, they didn't get there by avoiding struggle. They got there because they embraced it. They didn't let resistance stop them, they let resistance shape them. And that's the mindset you need to adopt if you want to unlock your full potential. But here's the key: it's not just about surviving the struggle. It's about using it. When you face resistance, don't just push through it, blindly learn from it. Every struggle teaches you something about yourself, about your limits, about what you're capable of. Pay attention to those lessons, because the more you learn from your struggles, the more power you gain over them. So here's the final thought for this part: struggle is inevitable, but weakness is a choice. You can let resistance break you, or you can let it make you stronger. Which one will you choose? Will you let resistance shape you into the person you were meant to be, or will you let it stop you in your tracks? The final battle, choosing growth over comfort. Daily, we've talked about weakness, comfort, and struggle. Now, let's bring it all together. Because at the end of the day, your potential isn't something you achieve in one big leap. It's the result of thousands of small, daily decisions. But every day you're faced with a choice. Do you take the path of least resistance, or do you choose growth? Do you give in to weakness, or do you rise above it? Here's the hard truth: no one can make that choice for you. Every morning when you wake up, you're at a crossroads. And the more you choose comfort, the easier it becomes to keep choosing it. But the same is true for growth. The more you choose to face discomfort, to embrace struggle, the easier that path becomes. You build momentum, you build strength, and eventually, growth becomes your default mode. But don't get it twisted, this isn't easy. Growth never is. It's a battle, and it's one you'll fight every single day. Some days you'll win, other days you'll lose. But what matters is that you keep showing up, that you keep choosing growth, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Because that's where your potential lies, not in the easy moments, but in the ones that challenge you, that push you to your limits, that force you to dig deeper than you ever thought possible. So, here's my challenge to you starting today: choose growth. Every time you feel the pull of comfort, recognize it for what it is: a trap. Every time you face resistance, see it as an opportunity to become stronger. And every time you're tempted to let weakness guide your decisions, remind yourself of this: you are capable of more than you know. But you'll never find out what you're capable of if you keep choosing the easy way out. Ask yourself, what would your life look like if you made this choice consistently? If every day you chose to face discomfort, to embrace struggle, to push beyond your current limits, how much could you accomplish? How much could you grow? In the end, your potential is in your hands. It's not something that magically appears, it's something you create, one decision at a time. So, what will you choose today? Will you let weakness ruin your potential, or will you rise above it and become the person you were meant to be? The choice is yours. Make it wisely.